minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here for another episode of The Seekers, where Johnny plans to kill a kid. That's how I'm going to intro this whole thing. Perfect. That being said, we are here with Johnny himself, a.k.a. Video Store Cowboy. We're here with Kai, a.k.a. Stonefly Kai, Sam the Wizened Fool, and Keith from Material Components. With that, guys, if you're enjoying what you're seeing here and you need to catch up, go check us out on YouTube. And if you want to support the channel, please go check us out on Patreon or join us in the Discord. And I think with that, I'll turn things over to Johnny so he can start killing people. Johnny?
You said a kid, so yeah. All right.
You said it first.
With that intro, I feel like I was expecting it to like cut to the Always Sunny thing. It's just like Johnny kills a kid.
The gang saves a kid. Air quotes.
All right, guys, let's get started. Previously on The Seekers. The journey from the gates of the Embrace to the Nora village was short, and the group covered the miles quickly. When the group comes in within sight of the village, they witness an attack of the machines. Krona uses a device to warn the village of the impending attack and attracts the attention of another group of machines. The group fends off their own attack and descends quickly into the village as the attack ends spectacularly. Witnessing the devastation of the attack, Krona befriends the war chief. He discovers that the attacks of both the bandits and the machines have increased in frequency. During the last bandit raid, a child was taken. However, the braves of the village were able to take a prisoner and hope to get information that they need to rescue the child. Upon hearing that the prisoner was unconscious, Feyre, with the help of Krona and Teus, is able to revive him. When the prisoner finally regains consciousness, the group makes a deal with him for the information that they need to track the bandits. His price, Teus, a Karja warrior, is to end his life as an Eclipse soldier. Taking the night to rest in the village, Tejak slips off again to have another little chat with Silence. Silence demands Tejak ignore the bandits and investigates the machine attacks that are happening more frequently. When Tejak convinces Silence that the bandits will earn him the trust that he needs from the group, Silence eases up on his demands for the moment. With that, Tejak is able to complete some work on the focus devices he has and rejoins the group at dawn. Though the bandit camp was only a half a day's journey away, the increased activity of machines made it a difficult journey to... sorry, that was a terrible... though the bandit camp was only a half a day's journey away, the increased activity of the machines makes it incredibly difficult. When they finally get through a grove of trees and see the bandits' camp, they discover that it's actually a fort made of timber. As we fade in, the group is taking in the size of the fort and watching a raiding party return with a child. So if you guys look at the game table right now, you will actually see a picture of the fort. And this is generally what it looks like. It is this gigantic sort of structure surrounded by a series of pieces of timber that are pointed in all directions, just kind of meant to fend off. And it looks like there's 3 layers of it. And it is covered in bandits. You can see patrols, you can see various guards, and you can see a raiding party of 5 bandits returning with a child moving, in towards the gate.
So, seeing this picture here, I'm realizing that we may be able to combine both of Keith's plans that he mentioned in the chat beforehand, and we can do like a split the party maneuver where half of us try to sneak in Ubisoft game style, and then the other half try to go in and talk their way through and make a distraction, and then we can try to like attack the boss together in the surprise attack. There's nothing that could go wrong in that plan.
I feel like that's a flawless plan.
Well, we know what team Krona's on.
I'm thinking we should have talk team with Krona and Tejak, and then
that's the thing, though. I have a negative to charm, persuasion, and deception. I am the opposite of Krona. I just talk a lot.
So then, do we send? Well, Feyre is a Nora, so she might be more persuasive, and a good presence on the talk team. if Tajak can be sneaky. I mean, the main reason I'm thinking about it is I forgot that Tass is good at climbing. So climbing is good.
Oh, you did?
How did you forget that?
When I say forgot, I mean
That's his main skill.
that's his main thing. That isn't killing people.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, I could be down for a TPK. I mean, to go to team, hashtag Team Punch.
If somebody else has a better plan, I'm all ears.
I don't think we've had any better plans. I don't think we've had
Yeah,
plans.
I think I'm down for this.
Have we had a plan?
I don't think we've had plans the whole game.
Good.
So, I mean, Keith, you seem to be the sensible one here. Have we had a plan?
Well, my two big plans, one of them, but they were both social plans because it was their chrono plans, right? But we either go in disguised as bandits of some kind that are trying to negotiate some kind of like peace treaty or something with them, but really we're just investigating the situation and trying to get some information so that we could then lead an assault or we could then report back to Aloy or whatnot. And the other plan was that we just went in as Aloy's people, demanding to speak to their leader and just like tried to talk them out of stealing children and raiding the village, which I feel like is maybe not the best approach, but those are my two thoughts. But I think we could also split the party and do infiltration, like secret attack infiltration, and combined with distraction.
Okay, so while we're discussing this plan outside of the bandit camp, Tajak, of course, sitting in his he's squat down in his chair, which you never really see. He just squats down. There's low-key a chair in there. He looks at everyone and says, "What if we took both plans and combined them, like Tues said? But you act as bandit emissaries, aware of an impending attack, and then Tues and I light the fort on fire."
I'm sorry.
It is primarily wood.
It is wood. I mean, it's still going to take a mighty big fire. I mean, it's a...
Or on the
Fortified
walls, we could make several small fires and start them in succession.
I feel like we definitely shouldn't start a fire until we know where the kids are.
Fair point.
Well, perhaps in the midst of the fire happening, those who've snuck in disguise could have a better sense of where the kids have been taken.
That is my hope. You give us a signal, and we light the fires.
I mean, plan.
Wasn't there some sort of communication function with the thingy? Didn't Aloy say someone was able to contact her?
She did.
If we could figure out how to make that work, signaling, that's a piece of cake.
Well, I can make it work between two, but I had to connect them directly. That won't help us at distance.
Well, that was my idea.
Right, Johnny? I don't, even with my success last time of directly linking them together via E5 Cat5 crossover cable, I don't actually know how to make a wireless communication bridge, right?
So let's clarify what you did last time. So you started with one device that you knew actually was capable of communicating across distances, and you essentially hacked the other one such that you were able to control its functionality. Mm-hmm. So you get the principles of that communication between two devices.
Okay.
So it's the specific set of sort of like commands or actions that you want to be able to take with it that you're still uncertain about. You do know that you were able to accomplish what you were with the device when you were trying to put it onto the Eclipse prisoner, and you also know what it's capable of based on what Silence has done.
So could I feasibly make a short-range communications?
You're talking about connecting between your device and any one of the other groups or the party's devices. Yes, you can absolutely make an attempt to do that.
Okay. Yeah. What do you need me to roll for that? Actually, first I'm gonna use right tool for the job and take one of my bits of robot parts to make just the right tool for this job.
Okay, and there's no roll for that. So
Nope,
okay.
It just costs one.
All right, right on. So perfect. That tool ends up being something that it's actually a piece of machine wire, almost like what you've got embedded in your skin, like the running blue wire that the blue light comes from, right? And what it does actually is it gives you an indication of when it sort of lights up bluish and kind of gives you an indication when you're you're looking at stuff that's like an active sort of pathway for. It's like blinky lights on a router, right? So when you plug something in, it lights up, and when you unplug it, it turns off, kind of a thing. So it kind of tells you where the power is running and what it's doing. So it gives you it's more like a testing tool to kind of basically figure out what it is that you're doing.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, so I'm gonna attempt to. I could try to make a short-range communication device between our focus, if you want.
Rona, do you want him to connect to yours?
Oh, yes, I trust your skill in this affair.
It'll be perfectly safe. He takes it. Johnny, what would you like me to roll? What bullshit would you like me to spout next?
Okay, so I believe we made it difficulty 4 last time.
Okay.
Right, but the intent behind that was just to be able to read information from him and cause him pain.
Yeah.
Right, so very rudimentary stuff. This is a little bit more finer detail, so I think this is going to be difficulty 5.
Okay. Cool. So I have an inability to craft Numenera, so that makes it difficulty 6.
Yep.
Good at this.
Understanding the Numenera. Does that count as 1?
Yeah.
I believe I understand it. All right, cool. So let's make that difficulty 4.
Wait. Difficulty 4?
The six will do it automatically.
The 6 will do it.
The character sheet will do the 6 automatically. So it's a difficulty 5, and it will factor in my inability.
All right, your inability, and then your asset comes into play, and your knowledge of Numenera.
I don't think I have any other things. I'm going to spend 1 edge because this seems like a big deal.
Edge Lord.
Maybe. I mean, you really don't need to do this. You're perfectly fine walking in there without knowing what the other party is doing whatsoever. I guarantee it.
Krona can just use his rain sticks really loud.
I succeed.
Yes. Just listen for the rain stick signal.
I succeed by 1.
You do succeed by 1, but because of that 1, because of that success, just barely succeeding, it's going to take you a fair bit of time. And so, while Tejak is doing this, it's about midday when you guys made your approach, but your approach came through essentially an incredibly large grove of trees, so that your approach was obscured. So he kind of sets off and begins to start working in his sort of crouched position, which ends up actually being him just sitting on his chair. What are the rest of you doing at this time? It's about midday.
Taz will look towards Feyre and Krona, and he will say, about how long do you think you're going to need to talk your way into position?
Depends on how willing they are to talk to us.
Are we pretending we're bandits? Is that what we're doing?
Yes, I think with a little bit of dusting of our clothes and a few slippery words, I think we'll have no problem.
As he says that, as if for emphasis, there is a distant rumble of thunder coming from the west.
And plus, we have the storm on our side, as always.
And as you say that, there's another little rumble of thunder. And there is a bit of a breeze that is coming from the west, and you can smell rain. And when the 3 of you look, because Tejak just doesn't care, he's just kind of working on doing what he's doing. The 3 of you look, you can see that there is a storm beginning to form, or beginning to come across the mountains and move in your general direction. It looks to be a couple of hours off.
Are we going to be able to start a fire if there's a rainstorm?
Okay. Hold on. It looks like it's coming up really fast, but Taz, he's seen this before, and something twinges in his mind, and he can just tell that the wind is not moving fast enough, and it's going to slow down as a different air current comes in, and it's going to make the storm worse in the long run, maybe, but it's going to hold it back, and I'm going to use Survivor's intuition to buy us time.
You can come up with a random pertinent to the information pertinent to the current situation when you wish. It always an objective fact and must be something. Wow, Jesus fucking Christ! What the fuck, man? Serious, Mike, that's Mike's job. Stop fucking with my game. Seriously.
You come up with a random piece of information and it's true. It's the best skill ever.
It's so good.
Oh man.
I feel like it's like the like implicit bargain is that like has to be like something about like survival or like survival skills. But basically I'm imagining it as like it's like, oh man, that storm's coming up quick, and he like licks his finger. He's like, we got a little more time than we think, but we got to go quickly.
I feel like Keith wrote that.
He's gonna be like, you're right. The storm's coming. We've not got a ton of time to start a fire, but I tell you what, I've got an idea. I got a way that we can make it pretty tough for us to be seen rather. Tajak and I, if it only lasts a little while, but if we're racing against the storm anyway, something.
Works for me.
If you can talk your way in within an hour, well, that's how long it lasts.
Well, I'll let Krona lead on this one, as much as it.
An hour is enough time to make friends with the whole bandit camp and to convince them to feed us dinner. Or sorry, that's not our goal, is it?
Well, I mean, if they're all
there was the children.
If they're all eating dinner in the same place, you just kind of lock the doors like one fire. Makes it a little simpler.
Wait, we're not lighting any fires. We're getting the kids out, right? And you guys are lighting fires.
Right. I meant like the metaphorical we, like we, the group.
Oh.
It's fine.
Tajak stands up and he has the focus in hand. And as he hands it over to Krona, as if he's been listening to the conversation the whole time, and this isn't just random words he's strung together, he says, "Where there's lightning, there is fire." And he places the focus in your hand.
Not always, but you're learning. The storm is a complicated thing to comprehend.
Son of a bitch.
All right. Well, Pharaoh, are you confident in this plan, or?
I mean, I think it's our best shot.
Krona starts sharing a tale of in the Utaru tribe of a great story once told around campfires in which one's tongue can be ensorcelled and others cannot read their motivation. It is an ancient magic that I will share with you, Feyre, a magic of the wind and the storm. And I'm using anecdote, and everybody can listen if they want to be trained in deception, but this is kind of mostly for Feyre and I. So we are both trained for the next hour in deception.
Teaching them how to be as inscrutable as the storm.
Yes.
Are you sure that you don't want to go with him, Tajak?
I've never been more sure in my life.
All right. Krona, you lead the way this time.
Yeah, so Taz will like kind of nod and wish them luck, and he'll say, "We'll signal us when you're ready, and try not to die."
Oh, perhaps we should try this. Krona, Can you hear me? Hello?
Testing.
Corona? Hello?
I believe I do.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so Krona has done a disguise of some kind for us, which is mostly just mussing up our hair and covering our clothes in dirt and whatnot to look like bandits. And then I assume we like leave the woods and arrive in a normal fashion along a road, instead of given
There is no dedicated path leading up to this particular bandit camp. But you are able to see some of the tracks that have been like previously trodden, and you can find your sort of your way along that to there. So we're gonna since we're splitting the party, we're gonna do this of course kind of a flashing back and forth kind of a situation as Krona and Feyre are moving towards that sort of series of tracks that will lead them on the quote unquote normal way to approach bandit camp. What are Tues and Tejak doing?
Hanging out.
So Taz will look to Tejak and will say, I hope you're a good climber, but I do have this. He pulls out like a little orb looking, I think it probably just looks like a like smoke grenade canister at like first glance. And he's like I said, it'll only last about an hour, but it'll help. And I will use my cipher, which I think are a one-use thing, right? It's a level 5 stealth thrower. And it gives us an asset to stealth for an hour.
And where are you using that in order to give you stealth?
What do you mean?
Like, are you just creating this mist that just sort of, just obscures the area?
The way I'm imagining it is like you throw down and like the mist coats us and then it dissipates and we're covered in like the particles. It's like a glitter bomb, only instead of glitter, it's stealth.
It's like the Predator, right?
It's a stealth boy. It's a stealth boy from Fallout.
Perfect. Yeah, so I'll be like, yeah, that'll do it, but won't help you get up the cliffs. So hope you've got something for that.
I don't currently, but I'm sure I could.
That's great. Starts they're just like wandering through the woods. It's like, it does help with the glowy stuff. I mean, that was gonna really stand out.
Mm-hmm. And you can tell he's clearly not listening. And if you turn around, he has reached into his hat and he is making something. And Johnny, because I have scavenged so many different robots, I'm going to use right tool for the job, and create an implement that will aid me in climbing.
I forgot you scavenged like a freaking million.
Every single robot. It literally says you need one piece of iotum to create this thing, which is why I've been scavenging every single robot.
Describe to me what it is that you've scavenged from the robots that machines that you're currently aware of. That
some of the robots have claws, and I've scavenged their claws, and I have fashioned them, though not useful for a weapon. I have fashioned them into, those like ninja things that you wrap around your hand that have like the pythons in them. I basically have that so I can grab better onto hook into things.
Oh my God, we could have done like a Princess Bride, Andre the Giant thing.
The Cliffs of Insanity, where it's just you climbing, and I just hang there limply. Are we there yet?
Next time.
There'll be a next time. Perfect.
All right. Just to kind of be clear about what's going on here, you're moving stealthily towards the back after creating that asset, and you're going to climb essentially the backside of the mountain to try to get to entry from the sort of the far side of the bandit camp.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just being clear. Okay, we're going to cut back to Krona and Feyre. You find yourselves just exiting the grove of trees, just out of line of sight of the bandit camp. and you see the sort of the pathway where the last raiding party just sort of came through. And Feyre, you, because of your trained skill in hunting and survival, you're able to take a look at the tracks on the ground and notice that there are definitely 5 adult pairs of boots or sandals or moccasins or whatever it is, whatever different garb. And there's a couple of different types of footwear that the group was wearing. And then, of course, you see one, smaller sort of, pair of, footprints. And those are definitely in the shape of a child who is wearing what appears to be Nora foot garb for children, which would be like a moccasin kind of a thing. So,
Krona, this definitely is the way that they have led the child. Don't get us killed.
Of course, I would never think of such a thing. We'll be leaving this place with that child and the other as well, and any others that we find, and their camp will be burning. It's going to go great. The storm is on our side.
I'm sure.
And of course, there's a thunder peal. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go. Sorry.
There's a thunder peal that just kind of like, kind of echoes through the area, and it's a little bit louder. But for some reason, doesn't appear to be growing all that much quicker because of somebody's ability. Thanks very much.
This is a fortuitous sign, if ever there was one. Krona produces a cipher of his own special glitter bomb, a harmony lamp, which
just actual glitter.
It's just actual glitter. This will be perfect.
Don't know
They'll never see us coming.
For now, it's on forever.
Good luck washing this off. So the cipher emits a combination of colored light, sound, odor, and healing nanobots that permeate an area up to a short distance from us. And all positive interaction tasks made in the area gain an asset for an hour. So we got that going. I think, yeah. And then once we get close, all right, we're approaching. Who do we see? Guarding the wall.
If we get in there and we can't find the kids and the storm gets closer, did we decide that? Are we just going to run?
I don't know if I understand the question. Everything's going to go perfectly according to plan, right?
All right, I guess we're just going to wing it then.
I have one other question for Tejak before you guys continue. When hacking the focus so that the connection between Tejak's focus and Krona's focus could actually, contain communication, did you leak it so that you could leave the channel open and hear everything that's going on? I can't hear a word you're saying, buddy.
That's because the focus wasn't open. I don't think so. Right? Like, so I knew how to connect the two of them, and I knew how to make it so that we could two-way communicate. I don't think I've mastered the ability to leave it open the way silence does. And even then, this is only like short range. Like, I don't think this will work outside of like, I don't know, what's a reasonable, like 150 feet, 200 feet? Like, this is like a walkie-talkie situation.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe in the future when I upgrade it to longer range.
Focus 2.0. Yeah. All right. So you come across a incredibly large rock, and the rock is on a rise, coming up on the sort of the ground sort of just heads up a little bit as you're coming around this rock. And as you do, you get in the full grandeur. You come around this rock, you get in the full grandeur of the bandit camp as it's kind of laid up against the mountainside. And for the first time, you're actually able to see a little bit into the camp as you're kind of descending in towards the camp entrance itself. You are able to see that there are essentially 3 areas to the camp. It's like layered. It's like an onion. Ogres have layers, right? So there's the outer wall, and then there's a space between the outer wall and the first inner wall. And then there's a larger sort of, space between in the second area between the first inner wall and the second inner wall. and you get a sense of just how large this place actually is as you're kind of descending in, and you can see that there are two what appear to be posted sentries, at the sort of the front entrance, which is open to the world. There's no gate of any kind. It's just like an entrance in. But along the outer wall, you can see that there are a couple of sentries that are posted, kind of paying attention and watching. And it is as you kind of begin to make your descent into sort of the depression that where the bandit camp is up against the mountain, you notice that the camp is starting to get alert and bows are starting to be drawn in your particular direction.
Hail, friends! No need to draw weapons. We come in peace with warnings and some things to say to your leader. And I'm using demeanor of command, which is the thing that people automatically understand that you're someone important, accomplished, and with authority. And
is Krona all of those things?
Yes, of course. I think he would name like some kind of bandit group. Like Keith doesn't know this bandit group, but Krona definitely would, because Krona is connected, right? So some bandit, some other bandit crew that's near the Meridian. I come from Bandit Crew X.
You know the crew. If you mess with them, they're gonna give it to you.
From the Red Suns.
The Red Suns. Okay, so as they're making the descent, the bows are being drawn, very taut, and they're pointing to you and they're tracking you, and you can see that there are 4 bows tracking you as the 2 sentries at the front are brandishing their pole arm weapons, waiting for your approach. But there's like nobody is shooting at you, nobody is taking any other action. You are just being the focus is being paid attention to you. Bless you.
I'm gonna whisper to Krona. I'm gonna say, if they look like they're going to kill us, I'm using you as a meat shield, so you better do a good job.
Fucking brutal.
As a storm shield. Before the storm, before the winds, all arrows fall.
Is Krona wearing his bells?
No, I think he yeah, actually that's a great point. Krona has like other outfits in his pack. So I think he produced an outfit that was like weirdly proper for a bandit that just was traveling with that, right? And has left he's not looking like a shaman of the Utaru, right? A storm speaker. He's looking much more like a bandit. He's worn a few masks in the past.
Really? Okay, so as you continue to descend into the depression, as you come within yards, just a couple of yards of the front gate, you finally standing under the sort of the outer wall of this this bandit camp. You are able to kind of get a sense of the type of timber that has been used, the lumber that has been sharpened and kind of built for this. This is not a new structure. It's not something that somebody has put up in in the last couple of months. This is a structure that has been here for a while. You're getting a sense of that, but you're also getting a sense that these are not the original inhabitants of this camp. So it's almost like it was a settlement that was taken over, kind of a thing. And as you come even closer, one of the sentries at the front entrance, to your right, basically points the polearm to you, at Krona, and says, "And which bandit brigade are you with?"
I am with the Red Suns, my friend. Of course you know them. Near Meridian. Great powerful bandit crew.
Not quite familiar. Word has gone out. You said Meridian. We're bringing some folks that are familiar with the region. You can just wait right there.
Come now, friend. You see, I am here with urgent matters to be brought to Bandit Chieftain, whose name we learned from interrogating prisoner in previous scene.
What is the bandit chief's name from that you interrogated with said prisoner from previous scene?
Oh, I don't have it.
You created him.
I think,
what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, he doesn't have a name.
Nope. Give me a name.
Cessna.
Is that spelled with an S or a C?
A C, I think.
Okay, just making sure. The blade, the polearm falters a little bit. Cessna requires us to check everybody who enters. So you're going to wait right here.
So I'm using, if this is cool, and I'll totally roll for it, part of demeanor of command. If speaking to a group that can understand you, you can attempt to have them produce their leader or ask that they take you to their leader. And I would gladly roll for it as well, if that sounds good.
All right, this guy's kind of an idiot, but he is a good soldier. So the difficulty here would typically be 3, but he's also on alert because of the approach and because he's a guard. So we're going to increase the difficulty to 4, okay. And that is going to give you what an asset essentially, right?
This will technically not give me anything. I could gain a free level of effort and be applied to one persuasion task you attempt during this period, but I'm gonna hold on to it because I might need it with the leader. But I am specialized, and I did get an asset from my glowing glitter.
Your harmony lamp, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna use that here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That lasts for an hour.
Lasts for an hour. Okay.
And I am going to expend effort, and I have 1 asset from the glitter bomb.
Imagine that.
Oh.
Woo.
So, what do you say to him next to persuade him in this particular case?
I think I really casually step within the range of his spear, past the head of his spear, and just place my hand on his shoulder. And I'm like, come now, friend. Do you think Cessna would be happy with you if my important news was delayed and it cost the entire bandit camp their lives?
You see the conflict play across his face for just a second. he looks at you, kind of looks down and thinks about it, and you can see that he's working really hard to kind of figure out what he needs to do here. And Farah, you are just getting a sense of confusion off of this guy. Krona is working his silver tongue magic, and this guy is just really confused. And the other guard is just kind of he's got his polearm pointed at you guys, but he's just kind of more looking at the sentry that you guys are dealing with. And finally, you can see sort of a resolution come to the guy's face. And he's just and he gets it. And he looks at you, he looks you right in the eye, and he says, and we're going to cut over to Tejak and Teas. Make some climbing effort here, guys.
It occurs to me that this is very high.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. Keep an eye out. It looks like they're getting distracted. I think something seems to be going on. I'm guessing that's Krona talking. Might want to hurry it up. Are you sure you're not going to die there?
Oh, I'm sure I won't die. Krona, is everything okay? It's in the middle of the meeting. Krona? Hello? Hello. I think everything's probably going to be fine.
Now is not the best time.
He starts to climb. Johnny, what is the difficulty for this?
you have, let's see, it's a pretty decent climb, but it's not like too treacherous. I mean, there's some some easy handholds or whatever, but you're also got your asset or whatever. It's a difficulty 3.
Okay.
Nice. Yes, Tues just shrugs and starts clambering up with his usual surprising nimbleness.
I don't.
What? Wait a minute. You had an asset.
I did have
You
an
had
asset.
an asset.
Yeah. I rolled a 2.
And then
natural
what
2.
happens? And then what happens?
That's what happens when you roll a natural 2.
All right. So, Tues, I have a question for you before we would determine the results of what happened to Tejak. So, this glitter bomb that sort of coats and kind of covers and makes you guys sort of invisible for the time being. What does it actually look like? You guys talked about the fact that it might be like the Predator or what have you, but really, what does the effect look like? What does it? You shimmer? Do you just like light? Just not like.
The way I'm reading it is, it sounds like the idea is it's like an active camo effect from nanoparticles. So I would imagine that it just kind of like weirdly makes you blend in with your surroundings, because like the nanites are like matching whatever's behind you color wise.
Okay. Is there an artifact though? Is there something about it that you think actually gives you away if there's a problem?
I mean, I'd like to think that he's kind of trying to climb along the line with Tejak, so that if Tejak falls, he might kind of be able to at least attempt to grab them. But I can definitely see the argument to be made that the fact that we're covered in stealth nanite goop makes that harder.
I mean, there's no world in which Tejak doesn't go, oh.
Yeah, you're probably
As he falls. Oh, no.
Oh, dear.
Are you like one of those turrets from like Portal where you're just like, oh no, oh dear,
I'm the Eeyore of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Help me.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Yeah. So I mean, Tues is going to try to like swing out and grab onto him if he can, if this is possible.
All right. So this is what happens with Tejak. Tues just starts to climb, and he's really confident and comfortable with what he's doing. He's also, had experience with this goop that's covering you guys before, and so he's able to compensate and just begin his climb. Tejak, using his gear, kind of doing his thing, is starting to to make the climb as well. But with a combination of the goop and the claws and his sort of inability to really comfortably climb.
It's the hat.
No, the hat isn't. The hat isn't the problem.
In the way.
The hat isn't the problem yet. So he begins to climb, and little bits of debris, like little pebbles and rocks, begin to kind of slide a little bit, and he's starting to have problems as he's grabbing. And he gets to a certain point. He reaches up and he overextends himself, and he starts to slide back down. And so he compensates and kind of grabs himself again, and then he starts to slide back down a little bit more until he loses his footing and begins to slide, and he's starting to slide past Tues, making a fair bit of noise and causing a little bit of stones and debris to start to slide and kind of come down, catching the attention of one of the sentries that is on the backside of the fort. Now, Tues, what are you going to do to try to save him?
How close are we to the top?
It's a pretty tall mountain, but you're about halfway up to where you'd be able to get easy, entrance and access towards the backside of this fortress.
Okay. So yeah, I think Tues is gonna kind of swing out sideways in like a feat of strength and dexterity, and try to just snag Tejak and hold him into. I guess he's kind of falling down. This is as he's falling down and sliding below Taz. So he like kind of swings across and snatches him up. Yeah, we'll see if that works.
And what kind of a roll is that?
Might, speed, combination of the two.
I don't know. You tell me.
Climb, definitely climb.
Climbing. Climbing advanced style.
It is your skill with climbing, which knows that you know how to properly belay and
so I will be honest. I've seen like actual climbers, not like live, but like real deal climbers in videos do like that kind of acrobatic feat. Never when someone was like legit falling to save them, but you know, people can do this.
So it's definitely possible.
Yeah. It's a thing that a human being has done before.
Perfect. We'll be fine. I'll be fine.
I don't know how we're doing better than you guys.
All right, so it's going to be a difficulty 4.
Okay.
Because you're doing the one thing that you do really well, Krona, and Farah is backing your butt up with badassery. So yeah, that's how you're succeeding.
Okay. All right, climbing. I don't really think I got anything to help us here, friends.
Effort.
So yeah, that's probably the way to go. I'll spend 2 of my might pool here, as you do. Effort. That'll do it. The effort is what pushed me over the edge too, so that's a good shout there, Crota. So I guess I think like what happens here is like we're still like not even like really close to all the way up, but Taz like sees like a little bit of an outcropping like a little off to like the right and down, and he swings over, snatching up Tajak, and they like manage to like pull them up, and it's like they're kind of dangling. There's a moment where they like nearly fall out, and then he like hauls them back in against this like tight outcropping, this like little ledge against the fort, and he just goes. Shh.
But all this happens in a matter of seconds, where it's oh no. And then swing in, land. Wow, you are quite strong.
As you swing out and you grab him and you just kind of bring him in, and he says, "You are quite strong," and you respond with shh. I'm going to use a GM intrusion here, that it attracts even more attention to the situation. And they can't see you, but the first sort of sentry has got the attention of another sentry, and now they're scanning, and they're a little concerned because they're not sure, but they're hearing voices coming from the mountain. I can't hear you. What did you say?
Who do you use it on?
Sorry, I'm muted.
That is going to be on Teus.
All right. I think naturally I'll give the other XP to take.
If you have XP, you can say no.
You can spend an XP to say no.
Entirely up to you. If you already have 1 XP, you can tell Johnny to go stuff it.
Yeah, I have 3 XP, so I'll deny the GM intrusion.
Yeah, that's the benefit of XP.
Nice.
We're like, I see your chicanery. Get that out of here. No, thank you.
Now you have 2 XP. Yep. And so they're still paying attention, but they're wildly distracted, and they are looking nowhere near in your particular direction, and they can't spot you at all. But it's as you are doing all of that, and that happens, that you actually take a look at sort of the backside of the camp, and you're able to kind of see into the camp a little bit, and you can see into sort of the third like area, the real inner circle of this particular place, and you can see that there is a cage. A couple of cages with prisoners in them, and then that's where they actually take the child and they throw this child into the cage and sort of slam it shut. And we cut back to Krona and Farah, who are just walking in with the first guard, who's like, I didn't realize you were so important. I'm so terribly. And he starts walking forward and come this way, please. And he starts moving into the camp.
It is fine, my friend. It's often hard to tell the center of a man just by looking at his outsides.
Something. You get a grunt from him as he continues to move forward, and so he leads you into the entrance of this this camp, this sort of fort. And when he takes you in, he leads you towards the left from the entrance, and just as you're kind of moving in, you're walking along sort of a curved or inner sort of area. This is the first sort of inner circle of the fort, and as you notice that it sort of curves off to the right, bringing you around. And so just as he's getting to a point where the curve is beginning to kind of really take him off to the sort of the right hand side, a pair of sentries walks right past him, and there's a quick exchange. And when they see the two of you following him, their pole arms go down, and it gets a little tense for a second as he leans over and kind of whispers into their ears, and they kind of relax. And they look back at him, and they look at you too, and they look back at him, and one of them nods, and they ease up, and they go back to their patrol.
I pat one of them on the shoulder and say, like, "Excellent work, good friend."
And at that, he knocks your hand away, blade out, comes to your throat and says, "Don't touch me, no matter who you are." And
I want to take my spear and back at him. I wouldn't do that if I was you.
So are you threatening him with your spear, or are you like taking the flat side of your spear and just kind of emphasizing it?
Yeah, emphasizing.
Okay. Give me some sort of an intimidation roll. Don't forget, is it just persuasion that lamp works for, or is it all social situations?
All positive interaction tasks. Yeah. So
I'm really sorry, you're not going to be able to use that here, but it is going to be a difficulty 3, so you do have that going for you.
Okay. And you said intellect? Is that what it is?
I'm sorry, what?
Intellect?
Yeah, I would think so. But what do you guys think? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, intimidation is an intellect. If I'm trained in it, I don't want to aid. I want to aid this, but I want to diffuse it. But I am trained in.
I just assumed the bandits would be impressed with other bandity people.
So I'm wondering if because this is about her ability to quick draw with the spear and to be there when he's there with the knife, that's it's about creating that standoff moment. So maybe the spear helps with the intimidation.
I would say I would agree with Sam, but I would say that because of the use of a weapon and a show of ferocity, that I would argue that might is usable as opposed to intellect, because it's less of a be afraid of me and more of I'm going to stab you in the face. No words were said. Right? It's a show of force. So I would argue that might is usable here if you had better effort.
And if I could argue that my aiding her would be kind of a casual, it is not wise to threaten a Nora tribeswoman when she's angered.
Okay, so let me be clear about this. You want to use might instead of intellect, because I'm assuming it's better for you. Is that correct?
No, I wanted to use intellect.
Oh, then go now.
Okay, then use intellect.
You guys were arguing, and it's stop.
I thought that's why we do the clarification. It's ultimately your choice. So you're going to use intellect. I'm definitely going to say that Krona is going to be able to say what he says and add that as an asset to the situation, basically aiding. However, I'm going to point out, Krona, that's going to have a consequence that's going to come up later, buddy.
Okay.
In the form of a really good GM intrusion the moment that you said something. The moment you said it, I had to do it. So please go ahead and use that as an asset. And it was a difficulty 3.
You got this.
If I use it as an asset, is it a 2?
Yeah, so when you click, you should be able to add an asset in there.
Yeah, you should be able to just click asset to go along with it.
At the end of the roll.
Oh,
wouldn't have succeeded anyway.
Yeah, it wouldn't have succeeded.
Things are great, guys.
You could use an XP to reroll.
Oh yeah, I'll do that.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Although I was looking forward to a Reservoir Dogs kind of moment, so
Well, you might still get one.
It only has effort. Is that
That's fine. I'll tweak it.
okay? Oops, I put 1 in there. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's fine. That'll count as your asset.
Okay.
you totally succeeded, and that was a good choice. So, just out of curiosity, when you say what you say and you add your spear sort of slap as an emphasis, where are you slapping him?
On his weapon.
Ooh, okay. Krona, the blade just sort of comes out. It's very close to your neck, and you can see that he's just the anger is in his his eyes, and then you see this blur as Feyre says what she says, and the blade of her spear comes flat and slaps the guy's hand, and the blade just sort of drops, and he looks at her, and he just gets frightened for just a second because he sees the intense look in Feyre's eyes. And he kind of backs off. Blade's yours. And he reaches for the spear that he had dropped that his friend had grabbed. And he just turns and kind of moves on with his patrol.
Friend.
What you see is below you, Feyre, is this really ornate sort of like black blade.
Good friend. Krona crouches and picks up the blade and holds it out like handle first to him. I think you've forgotten something.
He just keeps walking.
All right.
I'll take it, Krona.
All right. Krona hands it over to Feyre and leans in and says, It's okay. You don't need to be so tense, Feyre. Everything's going great. Just keep your eyes open for the kids, right?
Okay.
And so
I'll let you read again.
So the sentry that from the entrance just kind of looks at the both of you. There's a little bit of a panic in his eyes. He was not ready for the situation that just came about, and he just kind of he kind of looks. And he's like, all right, and he kind of turns and continues to lead you, and takes you around that bend, leaning towards the right until you get to the entrance through the first inner walls, sort of like break. And he takes you into a much larger sort of area where there is another sort of, inner, wall kind of situation. But in this particular area, this is the largest sort of widest open area around. It is a part of like sort of the curved sort of, interior of this sort of second circle. And there are various structures along sort of the right-hand side of this as you're kind of entering in. There are like shanties and a couple of like little stronger looking structures, and there are various sort of bandits kind of loitering, all wearing different kinds of like gear. Some of them look to be Karja. Some of them look to be like Banuk, but their gear is like nothing like a representation of the tribes that they were a part, and it's clear that they are exiled in some way, shape, or form. And for a couple of them that you can see that they're loitering, you can see that there are actually people that are wearing sort of the garb of the eclipse. And as you're kind of assessing and taking this in, he looks at you. He's like, no, come on, we're going to take you into this shack over here, and I'll get Cessna and he can see you there. Come this way. And so as you enter in this sort of second, like large area, this inner circle, you notice another group of sentries, and they're moving towards you from the far side of that first inner circle. And as they stop, they kind of assess the situation. There's a couple of words exchanged. There's a conversation about the two of you, and they turn and begin to kind of move back. And as you sort of step into it, taking in this situation, you can also see that there are some livestock and some, other some crates and things like that. And then sort of like really weirdly in the center of all of this is this sort of structure that's built out of like 3 pieces of timber that step up about 10 feet high. And they're kind of leading up to this device that's like at the top of this. And so there's like these 3 crossed 10 pieces of timber, and there's this weird sort of yellowish sack full of some sort of liquid in there, and there's like an apparatus in there, and there appears to be some sort of a lever attached to it all. It stands out as really odd to you. And so as you're being let in, you're kind of able to get a chance to take a look at it. And that's where we're going to cut back to Tejak and Teus. What are you guys doing?
Trying to throw that yellow sack.
So we got to climb again, right? To get to
you're up to the height where you would need to be. Now you need to kind of navigate your way towards the backside of the fortress.
So we don't need to climb.
You need to climb sideways, basically, not back. Essentially.
Yeah. So we start shimmying along, and Taz will be like, "All right, do you have something to start this fire with? If you do, I can try to get rid of any guards that are in the way."
I don't.
You don't?
No.
You said you would.
No, I didn't. I just merely suggested that fire would be a good suggestion.
I said, do you have some way to start the fire? And you said, I will.
Did I say that?
You did.
Oh. I can figure something out. And he squats down. And you see him, like, reach into his hat and pull something out, and he... 1 second, please.
All right, we're kind of on the clock here.
It's coming together. I've made this. And I'm going to use right tool for the job. And use another piece of my iotum of robot parts. And I assume some robot shoots a laser or something. Or they have lights. Their eyeballs are lights. So I've, like, cross-threaded the light part of their eyes. So, like, when you like, lay metal across the battery on an 9-volt? Basically that. And I have made a makeshift lighter. It's a grill starter, Johnny. I've made a grill starter. You're muted.
This is how we're going to burn down all of this.
Or my headphones are muted. It's me. It's me. What'd you guys say?
This is how we're going to burn down all of this?
Yes, well, you make several small fires.
All right, Mr. Arsonist, you're in charge of the fires. I will be in charge of making sure you don't die lighting them.
Well, if you could very quietly scrape some of the bark and wood and make kindling off of the walls here. I need kindling to start a fire.
You want to start the fire here?
Did you have a better place?
This is not a good plan.
I was thinking we just start small fires as we go, and then eventually they will become one very large fire.
You're the boss.
Am I?
I mean, was your plan.
Johnny, where do we see the kids? Like
You
right
see
here?
them.
Because that'd be bad.
No, you see them in the inner circle. The innermost circle. So they're a pretty good distance from you, even though you're sort of on the backside. There's still a fair bit of like room between the way that the fortress kind of butts up against the mountain, and those layers. It still does have those 3 inner layers essentially, but there just really isn't a sort of a back entrance to this place. It just kind of butts up against the wall.
Sure. Yeah, so I think he like pulls an arrow out and begins to like scrape kindling off of the wall, right? And then he like has the kindling in his hand and he's like click, 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 click for his grill starter. And then once it ignites in his hand, he realizes that there was a signal and he goes, Krona, we're in position. Are you ready? I just touch my ear for show. You can just talk.
We're close. I'll let you know in a moment, Tajak.
Got it. They're not ready yet, Tues. And he throws it off the cliff.
And I'm going to use a GM intrusion.
Yeah.
As you're doing that, it causes a much larger sort of light show. Mm-hmm. And these embers just sort of appear out of nowhere. And one of the sentries kind of takes a look up and goes, What the hell is that? And they start to pay attention more to that particular area.
Do I notice that if I take this intrusion?
Oh, you definitely notice it.
Okay. To balance out Sam, I will take the intrusion, give the XP to Sam. And then Tajak looks to Tues and goes, I'm sorry, I think I heard incorrectly. They are ready. And he... click, click, click. And basically what I'm doing is I'm making a small tinder ball, like, the ones you use to start a fire. And I'm nuzzling it under, like, the wooden beams, right? So it will have plenty of air to breathe and many wood to climb. And then I move to, like, 10 feet over and just... click, click.
Tues is going to be like, all right, you're on fires. Don't die. And I'm going to try to, like, start climbing towards the guards, and I want to try to start going full Assassin's Creed on these guys.
Okay.
Throw them off the cliff.
Before you start with your full Assassin's Creed bullshit, buddy, let me get a survival roll from Tajak see how well he is at actually lighting fires.
Okay.
He's apparently very good at, like, disassembling machines.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure he's really good at fires.
What's the difficulty, Johnny?
I kind of wanted you to just roll it, and then I'll let you know if it's going to succeed. It's not going to be hard, but it's not going to be simple either.
Okay, so I have an asset, so whatever I roll +3. So yeah, sure. I'm just gonna give you an intellect roll. I think it's knowledge in fires is a good idea.
Okay.
And I'm gonna spend effort. So it's whatever I roll +6.
Good.
21. Does a 21 work?
I'm going to take that in the frame of yes, it is a definite, and it's going to have a major effect since you rolled a 21.
I rolled a 15.
Right, but you said 21. Why did you say 21 then?
Because I expended effort. So if it was a difficulty 3, I would have bumped it down 2. So that kind of makes it up 2. So I expended effort and an asset, essentially.
All right. I see the roll there. I just wanted to make sure I understood. I was going to give you the major effect. We're not going to worry about that. As you kind of do, you kind of, get this little barrel of, like, this little ball of, like, 10, ember just kind of, getting to bloom. You kind of place it and you move on to the next one. And the smoke begins to rise slightly, but it hasn't really caught fire yet. So, but you can see that it's starting, and you move on to the next one. As we cut to Tues, you can see Corona sort of doing this, and you can see that the one area is starting to smoke just a little bit. And you want to sort of get onto the backside of this place and start Assassin's Creeding these guys. How are you doing this?
Basically, like, so I'm not. So we're like. I'm not exactly sure where the guards that are noticing us are in relation to us. Are they below us or above us?
They are above you right now,
okay.
Like on the wall. So
yeah, so it's gonna be like one of those things in like a stealth video game where it's like as they start noticing like the sparks happening, they like start like, what the hell is going on there? And what Tues wants to do is like using his like nanotech bullshit and his ability to climb. He wants to like sort of get around, and like one of them's kind of like walking around. He's gonna grab him by the leg and like hurdle him down. And I mean, he's gonna try to use gravity and the dark of night to kill these guys as fast as possible.
Okay, so they're not on alert yet. So they're not really paying attention. They're just kind of distracted by what was going on. So the difficulty to me seems like it's going to be a 4. Because of you're having to basically kind of grab over and kind of pull them over and use gravity to help, but you're still having to extend yourself a little bit, and now making yourself a little bit sort of visible and vulnerable to this particular situation. So let's go with the difficulty 4.
Yeah. I think one gets pulled, and then maybe like something else happens to the other. I'll roll it, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm guessing unarmed is what I'm using here. Cool.
Either that, or you want to make some sort of an athletics check. You are welcome to do that too, or
climbing is the closest I have to that. So,
well, can you make me a justification of how climbing would work in this particular case?
I think I would rather just use unarmed.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Difficulty is 4. You said.
Yes, sir.
I am experienced in fighting humans.
Yeah, this definitely is going to apply.
All right, so that'll lower it to 3. And I won't spend effort this time. Hopefully it doesn't bite me. 18. Oh, yeah.
All right. So as you can... Go ahead.
I realized that, like, if you just, like, pulled someone down, they would definitely scream. And the storm... Oh, but it is stormy.
It's not stormy yet because somebody decided that the storm wasn't going to arrive for another hour. It's only been about 30 minutes. So
True.
I am tracking the time. Can you see this right here? I'm tracking the time. It's right there.
That's fair. So, but it's still like thundering. So I think like what happens is like the first guy gets pulled down and like his scream, like it's like we like see Taz like holding on to the edge, and there's like a flash of thunder that lights him up. Or like flash of lightning that lights him up. And then when the thunder rolls in, he grabs and pulls the guy, and we hear his scream like muffled by that. And then the other guy like turns around. He's like, "Hey, wait, what?" And then he gets like locked in like the solid stake chokehold and gets like choked out and then pushed over.
And it is a Wilhelm scream that you actually hear. So
nice. Perfect.
You grab him off. You do that. You kind of send him down. The next sentry begins to move in your general direction, trying to figure out where his compatriot was. And that's when we cut back to Krona and Farah. You have been led into a what essentially looks like a little like shack almost. It's a one-room shack. And there is a table that has been set up.
Wait, pause. Sorry. I'm sorry, Johnny. If this is the dude's, this is the leader, Cessna, we're like entering his house.
No, you're being led into a shack. There was no indication as to whether it was actually his sort of abode or whatever.
Okay, right before, like, as this guard that has been leading us goes for the door, I put my hand on his shoulder and I'm like, my friend, you have been so helpful so far. I appreciate your efforts immensely. I have just one quick request of you. Before you return to your post, you see, I will speak with Cessna, but my friend here, you may have noticed she's been quite tense, and that is because her child, I fear, you might be in possession of. I think it would be wise for all of us if perhaps you took her to at least see her child before we left, just so that a mother's heart could be warmed a little. Would you do this for me, good friend? Sorry, Johnny.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to try to look like intimidating.
You are more than welcome to do this. However, baby, buddy, I don't know why I said baby, buddy, dude, whatever. You said something else the previous time, and I told you there was going to be a GM intrusion. You just used this particular story, man. It's on. It's totally on. You are. Yeah, seriously.
Okay.
Roll it, and it's going to be a difficulty. It's going to be difficulty 3 because this guy's already on your side, sort of.
Okay, cool. I'm going to expend effort, and then it will be nothing. I'll just succeed because I'm specialized. Actually, no, it already is nothing because I'm specialized and I've got the asset from the from the orb. So that's 3.
I'm gonna ask you to roll it just in case you crit.
Okay.
Just to see what the result would be, just to see if there's an extra added emphasis there.
I rolled a 7.
Well, it doesn't matter because you succeeded anyways. He kind of listens, and he's like, you can see that he's eager to kind of hear what you're saying, and he's listening, and he looks over at Feyre, and he looks back at you, and he looks over at Feyre, and he says, I do have to get back to my post, but I guess I could show her the children. But Cessna's been alerted already. He's looking to talk to you, and he's looking at Krona. I can take her, but you have to stay here. He knows to come here.
That's perfect, actually.
And he kind of looks, and he points to Feyre, and he's like, "Follow me." And he points to Krona. You step inside there. Cessna will be with you shortly.
And may the storm be with you, friends.
Larger peal of thunder, a little bit of flash of lightning. You can see that the storm is almost here.
Going perfectly.
Can I just point out that not only have you guys split the party, but Krona, you've split your sub party. There's now 3 distinct groups.
Sorry, Johnny.
Oh no. I don't have a problem with it.
You are
Except that I just know what's coming.
4 distinct groups, I think, at this point.
Yeah, he doesn't have a problem with character death.
Apparently not.
I mean, to be fair, Teus also split off from Tajak, so
Yeah,
But you guys are still reasonably close. Krona has convinced somebody to take Feyre someplace else completely.
It's gonna go great.
Oh
it'll
boy.
be fine.
Oh boy.
All right. So we're gonna do it this way then. We're gonna follow Krona first. The camera kind of pans in and follows him into the shanty, the little shack.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I retcon? And I wanted to hit my earbud as I had that conversation with that dude, so that Tajak could hear that conversation, if that's cool, so that he knows that I just split Feyre to the kids. So at least that's known to them. Is that cool? I'll spend an XP if it need to be.
No, it's perfectly fine because it's the kind of thing that I would assume that's going to happen anyways for you guys. So yes, that's perfectly fine.
Cool. Thank you, benevolent GM.
All right, now we cut to Krona as the camera follows him into sort of the shack, and there's a table there, and there's what appears to be a couple of really sort of badly crafted chairs and a couple of cups that have been placed out, and there appears to be a sort of a jug of ale kind of seated in the center of it. And there's a torch sort of burning in the corner, but otherwise this shack is pretty much empty. How does Krona prepare for his meeting with Cessna?
He's coming. And I'm waiting. I think I'm getting myself psyched with my confident outlook. I'm convincing myself that I'm ready for this situation, that I am totally ready for this. And I think I'm going to train myself in, God, I'm sorry. I wasn't ready for this. Forget I said anything. I'm just hanging. I'm just chilling.
You're welcome. Look, you're welcome to take any action before the next event happens with your scene. The next scene happens for you. So just think about it, and we'll come back to you.
Okay.
So we're gonna cut as you're kind of assessing the room and kind of figure out what's the best way to settle into this. We're gonna cut to Feyre, who is being led, by this bandit sort of sentry, and Feyre, you're getting a sense of the scene and the situation here. as you're kind of walking through this big open area, and you can see that there's, sort of shacks just kind of, lining the sort of the inside of this second, sort of circle area. He's leading you back towards the mountains direction, and towards, what appears to be the backside of this sort of third sort of like structure that also looks like it's like a wall, sort of a circle kind of a thing. And he leads you, around, and you're able to see that there are a lot more bandits in here than you expected. In some of the buildings are, different types of activity going on. Some of them looks to be filled with cots where people are, where bandits are sleeping. Other areas appear to be, sort of like, like there's a forge. There is, what appears to be a storeroom of some kind. There appears to be another structure where there is a cook who is trying to make some food. And so they appear to be a little bit more organized than you would have expected at first, from what you've heard about bandits. And he begins to lead you back sort of, towards around the backside of this. And as he's doing this, he kind of looks at you and he says, "So what got you exiled?"
I don't like to talk about it.
Well, I know the Nora are really harsh when they exile somebody. I'm from the Sunlands. I'm Karja, or at least I was. The punishments are harsh, so you had to do something really bad.
I don't know you. Why would I converse with you about what I did?
All right. I was just trying to make friendly conversation, and it kind of leads you back around towards sort of the backside of this thing. And there's another sort of entryway into this third area. And it's as you kind of get assessment of this, that you see that there is a series of what looks to be cages on the left-hand side of this. And there's another structure back here, and there's a fire going, and appears to be some heated discussion. And what looks to be some more sort of like important bandits are kind of conversing off to the right-hand side towards the campfire. But on the left-hand side, you can see that there's a couple of children in these cages, and they are attended by one sentry. And that sentry is just kind of like, feeding them water, but treating them very poorly.
How many kids are there?
There looks to be about 3.
And how are the cages locked?
The cages are locked with iron locks. As you're kind of taking in this situation, you can see that the sentry, the woman who has her, her blades, sort of like sheathed, and she's got what looks to be a lighter sort of armor. She's not really set up to actually, be in heavy combat. You can see that dangling from her belt looks to be a set of keys.
Can I walk up to her and say, "I'm with the Great Krona, and we're here to check or make a deal about these kids, but we aren't going to make the deal till I know the children are healthy. I'm here to check on them. Please take them out of their cages."
Who the piss is the Great Krona? Who the hell are you? I don't know anything about this.
He's speaking with your leader now. And you wouldn't know anything about it. Nobody informed you. You're not high enough rank.
I don't give a piss about rank. What are you talking about? I'm just feeding these kids until the slavers come. It'll be,
Clearly you care
we're
about
fine.
the kids, so let's check on their health.
I don't take orders from you. I don't recognize you. You're not wearing the garb of any bandit that, group that I recognize.
The guy I came with can tell you.
And where is he? Look, I'm not, this is my job. It's a piss poor job. I hate it. These kids, they whine, they complain, they're screaming all day sometimes. You know what?
I'll watch the kids. You can take like a 10-minute break.
That's great. Where is your friend, this Great Krona? Jerk.
He's speaking with your leader, and I'm going to reach my hands out for the keys.
Yeah, I don't trust you as far as I can throw you. You're not getting anything. And she begins to walk away.
people are there?
There's about 4 people by the fire, and then there's her.
You can
The
take
next time you try to engage with her, if it's an intimidation or perception or persuasion kind of a thing, you are going to get sort of you're going to get an asset in this, just to let you know.
You can
Is
take.
that helpful then?
Yes.
Okay, stop. Clearly, we are just trying to do the best thing we can, and you have a shitty job, but I'll help you for a couple minutes, and I'll help take care of the kids. But I need to check on them, make sure they're not injured.
Who cares if they're injured? They're basically cattle. They're basically livestock.
Because they need to be put to work, and they're not worth anything if they're not injured. Or if they are injured.
Persuade her.
Okay, so I'm trained in deception.
Okay.
And this is intellect.
This is intellect, and this is going to be a difficulty 4.
And I'm going to put 2
And you know
effort.
about healing, right?
And she does know about healing, yes. That's the asset, by the way.
So if I roll it, can you just add the asset after? It's not giving me an option for that.
I think you just got to bump it down difficulty.
Just bump it down 1 difficulty.
Okay, so 3.
Sure.
And then I'm going to add 2 effort.
She kind of looks at you for a second, and are they actually going to heal these kids? Man, I've got this scar over here that's festering. I don't know if it's infected or not. Can you take a look at this? And she kind of like pulls back a part of her like shoulder, armor, the leather piece, and you can see that there's like a festering sort of wound right there.
I'm not getting paid to look at your wounds. I'm getting paid to check on the children.
I'm not getting paid. I'm pissing. All right, fine. She throws you the keys and she starts to storm away. But GM intrusion. The group of 4, a couple of them take notice of the exchange that just happened, and they start to pay attention to you. So you get 1 XP, and you can give 1 XP to somebody else.
I'm going to give it to Krona.
You could also, again, spend the XP. If you've got XP, you could spend it and prevent that. That's up to you.
Yeah, I want to spend it and prevent that.
Okay. All right. So there's a bit of a distraction. They kind of take notice, but then they go back to their conversation, giving you a moment to start to assess the children. And that's where we cut back to Tejak, who has lit his first fire and it's started to kind of smoke a little bit. And he's working on the second one. Are you doing anything else besides lighting fires?
No, I'm basically lighting up. I'm taking tiny balls of tinder, I'm lighting them on fire, and then I'm stuffing them between like the base of I imagine it's like a palisade, right? Like a shitty palisade. Right?
Absolutely.
So I'm basically finding like a small notch, and I'm sticking it in the hole of the bottom of the palisade, so it has enough air to breathe, and it will slowly start to smolder and light the palisade on fire from the bottom. And then I carefully shimmy 10 feet over, scrape it off with my arrow, click, 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 and then I place it in the bottom of the palisade. And until Teus comes back and tells me otherwise, I shimmy 10 feet over and do it again, and then again, and again, until I get to the beginning of the camp. I'm basically lighting as many tiny fires as I possibly can around the outside, from wherever we were, back to the beginning.
You're muted.
I am going to ask for 1 more survival roll.
Okay.
Same difficulty.
You didn't give me 1 last time, so it was 0 last time.
So the difficulty is going to be a 2.
A 2. Okay, so I have 1 asset, so it's a 1. So intellect, difficulty 2, add 1 asset. I succeed.
Nice.
I succeed.
All right. So another one begins to kind of plume up, and as you kind of looking over at your progress, you're like 3 or 4 in at this point. They're all starting to smoke. None of them have really caught fire yet. There's a crack of, a thunder, sort of like just a really loud sort of crack, and you can really smell that the rain is coming soon. So you've got to do something to kind of like get one of these things to catch quickly. What are you going to? I'm going to give you a moment to think about it, and we're going to cut to Tues.
Speaking of which, as I do my little Assassin's Creed, Solid Snake running across this fort. Are they like prepared for? I see like some entrenchment and some preparation for invasion. Are there like pitch and oil barrels?
There is no pitch and oil barrels for sure.
Right, so there's no like kind of like flammable material that's obvious up here.
There is no flammable material. Give me something that's kind of like resembles like a perception roll of some kind.
Let me see if I've got anything. I've got finding food and water.
Okay. Then give me some sort of an intellect roll of some kind. And because of human warfare, just go, add that as your asset.
All right, sweet. I'm real bad at intellect, folks. So, what's my difficulty?
There's not going to be a difficulty listed for this. Let's just see how well you do.
Let's hope it asks me for an asset. Oh, I'll just do it as effort on the roll. Cool. I rolled a 10.
All right. So you don't see any pitch or any type of oil or anything else. You do, however, happen to see that there is a lot of like canisters or like barrels that are filled, like little kind of bucket kind of things that have arrows. But they're designed to just be grabbed and kind of thrown. You also notice something else as you're kind of climbing around on this part of the you're getting a real close, intimate kind of look. There's a lot of claw marks on the outside of this outer wall kind of a thing. You're not sure, but those look like claw marks of machines.
Good. Yeah, I guess I'll hustle back to Tajak as long as there are no other obvious bandits coming for us. And I'll just be like, we better hurry. I think these guys have been getting attacked by machines, so better get this done and get out of here.
Lightning, peal of thunder.
So, Johnny, explain to me, so what's happening with this specific fire? I need to light it faster. What's around me? What do we got going on here?
You basically, as you're trying to light these fires, and they're starting to take, but they're slow going. The wood is a little bit moist, and so it's taking time for the kindling to actually catch and kind of dry it out and make it happen. Only one of like the 4 or 5 that you had actually has gone out completely. The others are just trying to catch, and you can still see them sort of smoking, and you can smell it. You're lucky for you, the guards have not actually noticed, that the sentries have not noticed that the fires are starting yet.
But this one specifically is having a bitch of a time.
Well, it's started, but you can smell that between smell the wind coming, that the storm is almost upon you.
I got you. So do I have to go back to all the other ones too and fix this?
No, you just need one of these to sort of take off to kind of get the thing going. Kind of thing.
And then in that case, I'm at the base of the palisade. And I assume there's like a little niche in the wood here. I grab one of my arrows, or the same arrow I was using to scrape, right? And I start to like pick towards the wet wood at the bottom, right? Because that would be the most deteriorated. And I'm basically scooping out like a small hole to try to get to the core of the wood. And I'm like rubbing it through my fingers to try to make like a makeshift drill because it's an arrowhead, right? So I'm drilling into the wood with my hands to try to get an interior place to put this ball of kindling.
Just give me some sort of a roll.
Sure.
This seems like probably a either a might or an intellect roll, depending upon how you want to think about this.
What kind of difficulty are we looking at here?
Difficulty 2.
Difficulty 2. I will say it is might, so I am trying to force my arrowhead in there, and I'm going to expend effort on this one. I succeed.
All right, so you're able to kind of drill in as Tues just kind of walks up. You're using the arrow and you're kind of spinning it between your hands, and you are able to dig enough so you're able to get into sort of a dry part of this particular piece of lumber, and in doing so, you get a lot more sort of tender, just kind of like kindling, just like right there. And as you light another one of these little balls and kind of insert it in, you can see that it's beginning to take more perch and it's starting to kind of smoke a little bit more.
Hell yeah.
And this is the point where the fire is really going to start taking off. You can see that's going to be your success, and then all these others are just going to go along with it. So the kindling is really starting to take off and starting to smoke, and it's actually beginning to choke the two of you a little bit. What do you guys want to do here?
I mean, which direction is the wind blowing? The way we're
the
going,
wind is
or the way
blowing
we came?
from the west, and right now, sort of where you are along sort of the backside of this place, you are actually out of the wind. Like I said, the structure itself is kind of blocking the wind a little bit, but there's still enough of a draft that you can smell the moisture on the air as the impending rain is approaching. I
mean, unless Tues changes the plan, Tajak is going to continue 10 feet down and scrape another one, and he's going to go as quickly as he possibly can. Because in his eyes, the more tiny fires, the faster there's a big fire. Unless we're getting too choked out or there's enemies coming.
Does it seem like the fire is going to like go by itself now to Tues at this point?
Yes. So the fire definitely will go. Everything that Tajak is doing is to encourage it to go faster. But you do know that the fire is going to take at this point. You just don't know how big the fire is going to be when the rain finally hits, because you can smell the rain just in the distance.
All right. In that case, Tues looks around and having no better option, he's going to try to help Tajak. Just
give me some sort of a roll to go with
possible. That. I'm going to try to, I think like maybe like he's using might. He's like helping with like the digging portion. Like he's like digging out like a larger portion than Tajak would be able to do alone. And like basically taking that task away from him. If that seems fair.
Okay. Yep, do it.
All right. Difficulty just none.
Difficulty 2.
All right. Come on. No.
Interesting thing about that.
I mean, you can reroll.
You can reroll. So
I do have 3 experience, so I'll go ahead and reroll.
I would suggest using those experience, yes.
Let's make a big fire. Yeah, that's good.
All right. The fire has caught. Describe to me what it's like when the backside of this palisades begins to alight a flame.
I think it's like it's one of those moments where like it's kind of like a point of no return for this fire, where it's like it is like seeming like really nothing's happening, and Tues and Tajak are like Tajak is just calm and ever. Tues is like starting to like freak out a little bit, and then all of a sudden it starts to catch and it starts to go up like really, really quickly. And I think like maybe there's like a moment where Tues is like, Tajak, it's time to go. Time to go.
But we have so many more fires to light.
Nope. Time to go.
I can do so many more. There's
just
still...
grabs him and starts.
Oh no.
Where do you drag him to?
Well, we were supposed to head to get the kids, right?
So you climb over and get inside of this burning, edifice that you've created?
That was the plan, was to set a fire and then get the kids.
Okay.
Was it not, Tajak?
I think that
you
was
guys
the plan.
did hear you did hear me at least saying that point of conversation to the guard to send Feyre.
That is true. Yeah, so once you if you start to climb the wall, like he's still like you grab him and then start to climb the wall, and he's still like, where are you going?
We gotta go find the kids.
No, it's okay. Feyre's going to get the kids.
Okay, so where are we supposed to go?
I was going to keep making these fires.
There's plenty of fire. We gotta get out of here.
Oh, but the more fires there are, the less bandits there will be.
Well, the more fire there is going to be us dead, not bandits right now. So I think it's okay.
Then perhaps we should go to the front and prepare an escape route.
let's do it. I think at this point, Tues is just like not even gonna like let Tajak climb. He's just gonna like throw him onto my back. Just be like, hold on. Just like starts trying to climb up and like run and duck his way out of this burning encampment.
Love it.
Okay, and so that happens, and you're kind of just up and over, and just behind you, as you're kind of making your way out of the essentially out of the camp wall again. There's just a blaze of flame beginning to just kind of bloom behind you. As we cut to Feyre, who is looking to attend the kids, and you smell two things, Feyre, or actually three things. The first thing that you smell is just the absolute poor care that these kids have been kept in these cages. You can smell neglect and all the terrible things that not only come along with that, and essentially there's like straw on the floor of these cages. But that smell is overwhelming you until you catch a whiff of something else, which is a fire. But it doesn't smell like a campfire. It definitely is different. It gives you a little bit of an inkling that Tajak and Tues may have accomplished what they were attempting to do. And along with that, there comes another kind of whiff. And there is this sort of like moment of smelling moisture as you can smell the rain. And it is coming.
As I get the kids out, I'm going to whisper to all of them, when I say go, run the way you were brought in. And then that's all I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm going
right.
to wait to say go till I have a better, till there's more chaos.
Okay. Still, you're not being noticed by the kid as you're kind of letting the kids out. As each kid comes out, they look very frail. Only the most recent one, a young girl, looks to like she is not completely neglected at this point and has a little bit of strength about her, but she is also crying. She's not sure what's going on. The other kids have just sort of accepted their situation.
Do they look so frail that I think they can't run?
They do like they're physically capable. They have been feeding them, but they don't look as well as the other two kids, or as the new one kind of looks. So, another crack of thunder as there's a quick sort of lightning, and the skies appears to be getting darker, and the light, the daytime is starting to kind of get diminished by the storm clouds that are coming in. You can hear what sounds a little bit like crackling in the distance, but you're not really sure what's going on. And we're going to cut to Krona, who is waiting patiently for Cessna.
Yes. So I think what Krona's doing is in the one moment that we have seen Krona so far on camera where no one else was there, his voice is completely different. And he's like, come on, Krona, you got yourself into a weird situation right now. Come on, Storm. You got to help me out. I've been doing good for you, Storm. All right. I've been doing good. You got to help me. Got to give me the wind. Got to get me out of here. And he's like doing high leg lunges, and he's using confident outlook to convince himself that he's good at running. He's trained in running.
Oh God, man! Oh, it's all going bad, man!
I got this.
Okay, so as you're kind of doing this, you hear some harsh words, sort of coming, from the outside of the shack. And you hear somebody sort of step up onto the what is like the entryway for the shanty, but you're not able to you're not able to see what's going on yet, but you hear the presence outside, and there's some angry voices going on. And basically the sentiment is that whoever this angry person is, he's frustrated with the fact that he's being asked to come and do this. Like, he's got a ton of other responsibilities. He needs to get things squared away. And he's got to talk to some, runner from another bandit camp. He doesn't understand this at all. And he bursts in, and in walks one of the biggest guys you have ever seen. This guy is bigger and taller and more muscular than Tues. This guy is gigantic. Like, he is 6'4". His muscles are just he's incredibly ripped, but you can also see that there's a fair amount of scars all over his body. And you can tell that this guy is actually what appears to be Banuk, because he's got some interesting sort of garb that indicates that he was once wearing just Banuk armor. But he's got like a slash across his face, and he's got a marking or sort of a brand on his skin that indicates that he has been banished from, you know, the Banuk. And just the armor that he's wearing is very light and allows him to kind of move. And he's just, you know, comes in and he's like, "Who the hell are you?"
Friend Cessna. I come bearing a warning from the Red Suns.
"I don't know anything of the Red Suns. Where do you hail from?"
From outside Meridian, you see. We were quite powerful not too long ago until Aloy came around.
And as you say that, there is another huge like crack of thunder, and it's really loud right above you. And you can see a little bit of the flash, sort of like the lightning just kind of, you know, piercing the interior of this place. And he looks at you for a second, and he says, "Everybody's been suffering since Aloy, but the Eclipse, they were the real problem. Now we're just trying to survive. So what are you doing here, runner?"
I'm here because I feel like it could be quite possible that we could work our way around Aloy. I think with a few adjustments to our ways, perhaps not stealing children or raiding from Aloy's allied villages might allow us to get by. I mean, why is it that you're stealing children anyway?
He looks at you and he kind of sizes you up. And the GM intrusion is going to pop in right here unless you want to spend an XP.
Oh, it's quite likely.
He's going to look at you and he says, "Who are you really? You look nothing like any bandit I've ever seen. Scrawny, little wiry nothing. You look like somebody who lives off the benefit of others. You've been taken care of. There's no wild in you." And so he reaches in, you know, to his, on his belt, and he begins to pull a blade. And he says, "Who are you really?" And you're going to take an XP, and you're going to be able to give it to one. You're going to give an XP to somebody else if you want.
All right, I'll do it. Come, friend. You see, as I said, the Red Sun are very powerful. They can get by with a few men like me who know how to speak and to make friends and allies. Not all of them are warriors.
And his blade continues to come out. Are you going to try to convince him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or persuade him? Go ahead.
Wait, who gets the other XP?
Exactly. That's the other question.
Yeah, Feyre.
And then I also have a question about how player intrusions work. It's only the things you get from your like playbook, right?
Unless you want to be creative about it.
Okay. I just wanted
okay, right on.
All right. I'm persuading this guy. Do I know the difficulty or no?
Oh, it's a 5.
All right.
It's a 5 because he's really just, you know, this is the leader of a bandit group. I mean, he's got a fair amount. He's had to, you know, kind of force his way to the top, kind of fight his way to the top. He's going to be intimidating as hell. So.
All right, so I'm going to expend I had that free tier of effort from Demeanor of Command from when we first started, and I have an asset from my Sparkle stuff.
What Sparkle stuff? I don't know what you're talking about, buddy.
Oh, the cipher, the Harmony lamp that I use.
I don't know anything about any sparkle or lamp or anything. Seriously, what is this?
It's a big old cheater.
The Harmony lamp. I use it.
I know. I don't know what you're talking about. So roll it.
I did. I got an 18 on the die.
Oh shit! Sorry, I didn't see that. Okay,
Beats difficulty 6.
Give me one final, phrase of emphasis.
I don't have one. I think it is that I reach out towards the sword and I say, all of us have suffered much loss in our time. I was once a storm speaker of the Utaru tribe, and as I touch his sword, conveniently the storm, the lightning bolt strikes, the thunder strikes to emphasize my point. I invoke the storm.
And it does happen like that. And he kind of looks at you in the eyes, and he falters for just a second, and then he looks away. He looks away for a second, and I am curious about the red sun. We will talk of this and drink. And he drops his blade and reaches for the pitcher of, or the jug of ale. And as that happens, there is another crack of thunder. And then there is some yelling that is coming from outside. And you hear the words fire. And we're going to cut back to Feyre, who hears who smells the sort of the fire and sort of the chaos, of it as it just, begins to kind of like really take hold, and you can smell it, and you can begin to see a little bit of light as the 4 individuals are kind of looking at the fire in the situation. They're not paying attention at all. The children are ready and kind of looking up at you. And then the call comes up that there is a fire, and it is a sentry coming, from the distance on the far wall in your general vicinity. And as they yell fire, the 4 individuals at the campfire kind of look around and immediately run out.
I'm going to yell to the kids to run.
Do you lead them or do you follow them?
I follow them. Run the way they brought you in.
Right. So the 3 of them sort of dart off. The newest one, the girl, she is the most sort of agile and the most energetic, and she just bolts. And the other 2, another boy and girl, just kind of follow along a little bit, and you're able to kind of bring up the rear of this little column of children. And as you do, you kind of step outside of this inner circle area, this third inner area. You can see that the fire is really beginning to kind of blaze, and taking a hold, sort of towards the what would be essentially the southeast part of this fort. And so the blaze is beginning to happen, and you hear calls, and they're screaming and yelling. And you kind of move around, and you can see as you're coming back around into the sort of the second open area back towards where you left Krona, there's beginning to be chaos as people are grabbing for things and starting, the bandits are grabbing things and starting to kind of move back towards, sort of the entrance areas, and they're just starting to kind of move. And you see that this gigantic man, burst out of the shack where Krona is, and Krona's like, stepping up behind as they're kind of assessing the situation. And so the 2 of you, kind of come together as Cessna just kind of runs off to kind of run and assess the situation, leaving Krona basically, sort of holding holding a mug in his hand. As the 2 of you kind of come together, as the children continue to make their way towards the entrance of this, fort.
Krona, while you're partying, I'm not getting the kids out. Now help me.
Feyre, have a drink in celebration of our victory.
I'm going to use you for the children's meat shield now. Come on.
Nurturing.
So the 4 of you, or the 2 of you, begin to kind of follow up past the children, and as you're kind of running in this, running back towards, around in this the first inner area, the inner circle, we're going to cut to Tejak and Teas. Where did you guys actually end up?
I mean, Tues, you kind of picked me up and carried me, so where are we going?
I mean, we were going to where Tajak said to meet Krona.
Yeah, the entrance, wherever the entrance point that they went into was where we were aiming for.
So we would go to the entrance, and then Taz would be looking for, the people.
All right. So as the you guys are making your way sort of around the outer wall of this, you can hear the chaos that is going on, and you can see that the front gate is only manned by one, and that the other sentries have moved off in an attempt to try to fight, or stave off whatever fire situation is going on. And there's just that one sentry there, and there appears to be some chaos inside, but otherwise they're kind of looking, and they're bewildered, and they've got their pole, and they're kind of looking. What are you guys going to do?
Tues, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that it has been exactly 0 bandits that you have punched today.
I think Taz is already making the move as this happens, and he kind of calls over his shoulder. He's like, "Well, haven't punched any. That's true." And this guy, I think he's turning bewildered, and he turns just to see Taz, this large, wide-shouldered man, but not particularly tall, walking up towards him rather calmly in the chaos. Despite everything. And unless he basically immediately tries to stab me, Tess is just going to walk up and start beating this man to death.
So are you still technically stealth at this particular point? Because it's still been within about an hour. I mean,
it's probably just hard to see him. He's not making any effort to be stealthy. So it's probably just if somebody like the active camo effect from the old Halo games, where it's you just kind of are see-through, and so it's even when somebody's not really trying to be stealthy, it's just kind of can be a little bit hard to see them as they walk up on you. I think it's a bit like that.
Okay, and so step in and hit this guy.
Yeah, should I roll it up first?
Yes, you sure should. And again, use your stealth or your invisibility or your the way that you're as an asset in this particular attack. The difficulty is 3.
All right, so down to 2, and I've specialized in fighting humans, so down to 1.
Right, exactly.
All right. 7 damage.
You basically run up to this guy, or you walk up to this guy, and you just kind of peel back and is ready. And he doesn't see you coming. He's paying attention to something, and he's just kind of looking off into the distance. But you're so focused on what you're about to do, and because you've got your stealth on your side, you don't actually, you run in and you make your move to connect. And as you begin to swing, you hear from him coming from his lips as he yells at the top of his lungs, "Machine attack!" And that's when you connect, and you fracture his jaw completely as his jaw just kind of goes limp, and he gets all wide-eyed and just crumples as he's in an intense amount of pain and basically just dies on the spot. And you realize that he was kind of looking in the distance as he did this, and both you and Tajak kind of turn and look, and coming through the grove of trees appears to be an onrushing group of various types of machines, including sawtooths, prowlers, and watchers.
Good.
And a couple of other things that you don't quite recognize that appear to be spurting flame. And that's where we're going to end it.
I mean, on the bright side, there's a burning back door. So we just run through. We made a clear entrance. That being said, that was the end of this episode of The Seekers. If you guys are tuning in late or you've missed the previous episodes, please check us out on YouTube. They are all up there. Do all that, comment, subscribe, all that nonsense. And check out other stuff. Johnny's been GMing here for I don't know, I changed to a desk 2.5 years ago, so he's not allowed to leave.
Let me go, please.
Nope. That being said, let's go around, introduce our casting crew, get the hell out of here, and host one of our good friends. We'll start with Johnny this time, who's coughing and not prepared. Johnny, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
Video store cowboy everywhere. Stream on my own channel, doing world building and a bunch of other stuff. I'm here. I'm on Oliver and Elrond's channel doing Esper Genesis. Whenever we can actually schedule an actual show that actually happened last week, it was kind of fun and amazing. I'm also going to be able to talk about something very, very soon where I'm going to be doing something with Sam specifically on another channel on Sunday nights, which sounds like a lot of fun, but I don't have all the details yet. So as soon as I have that, I will talk about that. And last but not least, we're hatching something new for, I think it's Monday nights.
I think it's Monday nights. It's Monday nights.
Yeah, I think it's Monday nights now on this particular channel. So
Monday nights in July next season. Check it out.
That's correct. So that's me.
Cool. With this anonymous? Wow, ominous is the word I want to say. Ominous segue. Let's transfer right over to Sam. Speaking of Monday nights, Sam, who are you? Where can we find you? What are you doing on the internet?
I am Sam, the Wizenfool on Twitter, Wizenfool on Twitch. I am doing this for right now, but yeah, got some things coming down the pipeline. Gonna be a little something on Sundays, a little something on Mondays. Yeah, well, I'll leave it at that for now. We should have probably full announcements and dates and everything probably by next week, so we'll leave it for that.
Fantastic. In the spirit of further announcements that are thinly veiled and, not too obvious at all, coming back again next season for something else. Keith, who are you? Where can we find you? And what are you up to?
Secret hype. I'm Keith. You can find me at Material Components on most things except for Twitter. I'm at M Components. Tabletop role-playing game streamer. Play Numenera, Fate Core. And soon to be some Fate Accelerated. Yes. And I am a big participant in a Nashville local after-school program called the Heroes Guild. You can check it out at theheroesguild.com. We teach tabletop role-playing games to kids 6 to 16 and enforcing positive heroic morality and non-violent conflict resolution and whatnot. And we're working on a Powered by the Apocalypse system in order to do that the most elegant way possible for the kiddos. And have hundreds of hours of play testing with kids under our belt. And we're working on, during our break, the next draft of it, draft 4, which is pretty wild.
That's awesome. And last but not least, the wonderfully, amazingly talented artist, Kai. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And what are you up to?
I'm Stonefly_Kai on both Twitch and Twitter. On Twitch, I do art and magic mainly. So that's me.
Hell yeah. With that, guys, I'll remind you, please check out the Discord. We have a channel dedicated just for this. If you want to talk about this game, chit-chat about it, you can do that here in the chat right there. Also, if you guys want to support the channel outside of Twitch subs, the best way to do that is our Patreon, so please go check us out on Patreon. And with that, we will go raid our friend, the Bubbernot, who is playing the Mummy's Mask currently. It's on something like episode 14, I think. Go check that out. Awesome campaign, awesome guy, and from all of us to you guys, bye-bye.